Well, hello, that's me again. Today is May 10th, 2025, and it is Saturday, so I decided just to make a video for you, kind of give you heads up, guys. Immediately, before I go, don't ask me about Indo-Pakistani conflict, which is developing right now, and evidently Pakistan, as it is known, at this moment already violated allegedly the ceasefire. So I might elaborate a little bit on the technical side of this issue, which is very important. These are two nuclear powers, so which I mean, that's serious, all right? So, but we have to wait and see. It is a very specific region of the world and a very specific type of the dynamics, if you wish, military dynamics. So we'll have to wait and see and hope that they will come, to their senses. But yeah, that's the separate issue. In the beginning, what you see is the operation of the famous Lemur, or Lemur as the Russians call it. And as you can see yourself, it works really well, and you can launch it from very large distances. But before I go and comment on the parade in Moscow, there is really nothing to comment about. I mean, you saw everything yourself. As Washington Post laments, oh my God, 29 heads of states, visited Russia, and we're talking about real heads of states, and we're talking about people who run the countries which are the first economy in the world by far, like China, Mr. Xi Jinping, and of course Mr. Lula from Brazil, or Mr. Fico of Slovakia, oh my God, Mr. Vucic from Serbia. They have been threatened by von der Leyen not to come to Moscow, and all kinds of other people from Africa all around the world. And because Mr. Modi was supposed to be at the parade, he couldn't obviously come due to the situation around this conflict with India and Pakistan. He had to stay home, but he sent in the Minister of Defense. So you saw yourself also the North Korean generals who were the part of the operations around Suja. So Mr. Putin was warmly thanking them for their participation. But it's anybody who wants to look at the technical part of the parade, it was parade. It demonstrated some, by far not all, capabilities of Russia. For example, BMP-3 and BMP-4s, I mean, those newly developed upgrades for the BMPs are just, there is a confirmed and even visually confirmed occasion on which the BMP-3 killed 3 Bradleys. Well, that's what happens when you have the 25mm Bushmaster, or Bushwhacker if you wish, and when you have 76mm gun. That's the difference, okay? So, and this is just part of the issue, and you saw your drones, Russians obviously didn't want to put too many aircraft in the air, because just who knows, I mean, just in case somebody would fly the drone in the formation, so it's just one of the reasons. But other than that, I mean, you saw yourself, everything went very nicely, and there are all kinds of the marching battalions and companies, if you wish, so they performed extremely well. So it was really heartwarming. And but now we get to see something very special in Godzilla. Oh my God. If you take a look at this is very interesting how they pulled this thing off. This is the project 667 BDRM, which is known in NATO as Delta IV class strategic missile submarine. Russians have at this time, I believe, fully operational only 2 of them. However, they carry this, as you can see yourself, this hump, because they carry the liquid-fueled missiles, intercontinental ballistic missiles, which are launched from the sea. That's why called SLBMs, sea-launched ballistic missiles. And those are the development of the famous Russian ballistic missile called R-29. They carry all those R-29's modifications, which are called either Sineva, which is blueness, literally, or liner, like, ocean-going liner or something like that. So, and in Godzilla, the Russians decided, just let's roll out the Sineva. And there you go. It's a wonderfully capable, still strategic missile, and you can see yourself a really serious size of this thing. And but as I already stated, it is in serial production, but it is carried by remaining Project Delta IV submarines. But it was really like remarkable when you look at this. I was saying, oh my God, they carried Sinival from the container, opened it, and people just took a look at it, and that was really remarkable, because you can always take a look around Russia during the Victory Day. All kinds of interesting things pop up here and there, including some new launchers which haven't been actually presented on the parade in Moscow. However, all those butthurt guys, and there are a lot of butthurt people. We are talking about all combined West is just cannot take it. Well, the same as sadly, I have to admit, Colonel Douglas MacGregor, who cannot wake up to the realities of the Great Patriotic War. Not that he knows them much, but still. And he says that, yeah, Russians, yeah, they were not that good, Americans were just really cool, in terms of defeating Hitler, but yeah, this mythology, the Stalinism, all kinds of the garbage which he for some reason continues to venerate, including the, for some reason, mediocrity of Solzhenitsyn, who basically lied and created fiction about Gulag. He still believed that probably, yeah, Russians killed 300 million people of own, so that's what it is. Math was never a strong point in the United States education. And so when you take a look at what we have now from Reuters, it is something else altogether. As you can see yourself, look at this. Exclusive. Iran to send Russia launchers for short-range missiles, sources say. Well, obviously, the Reuters sources are garbage, as most of those people who, so to speak, in the, those governments and those in the West which operate on the complete fantasies or lies. They just come up with lies and they just spread it. And as you can see yourself, these are allegedly Iranian launches, right? So yeah, I guess so. What can I say? There is a lot of things which are happening now which they are really not happy with, and this all comes basically to prove the point that, and Vladimir Putin knew it, that May 9th parade is a kind of, exclamation mark to show that, well, yeah, nothing you can do about the balance of power shifted, and if West doesn't want to, well, it doesn't want to. Russia will continue to do what she is doing with the special military operation. Obviously, there is a lot of speculation. Make no mistake, the so-called establishment media in the West are nothing more than Goebbelsonian propaganda outlets, as I repeated ad nauseam. Most of those people who report on Ukraine, for example, or whatever is left of it, they continue to basically promote the homicidal and suicidal policies of the, killing as many Ukrainians as possible. Russians, however, when Vladimir Putin declared 3-day ceasefire due to the parade and celebrations of the Victory Day, we can still see that, well, this kind of thing didn't last long. even today, or yesterday rather, you can see yourself that, yeah, Ukrainians were very active on the front. They were shooting, launching things, and Russians were shooting them down and killing Ukrainians. Yeah, it's not as large number as it used to be throughout this year, but still, it's very significant. Essentially, 780 people. It's almost, in Ukrainian terms, it's 2 battalions are wiped out of the Battle of Odra. And numbers do not lie. We can see throughout following all kinds of the media outlets that, well, they are desperate. And here comes the things which desperation is not a good advisor in any activity you do, because you have to calm down and you have to assess things properly. Western governments, including the Washington, they are incapable of doing this, and especially when they exist within this atmosphere of hysteria and hatred, which is promoted by the, again, majority of the establishment media in the West. You get these pathetic things that they need to present some kind of things because they're losers. They're sore losers. The combined West is a sore loser. But that something can be, alleviated in terms of the butt hurt. So here it is. Today, Russians are laughing. So we have British now. Look at this. Oh, yeah. Russian Navy had to deny the reports of the interception of a Russian submarine. The Navy is in response to publication about the interception of a Russian submarine, called it impossible. Absolutely. And why the interception is highlighted in yellow? Well, these are British, so you sometimes you have to feel for them. And so here it is. Here's the explanation. Russian submarines are performing their combat training missions in the world's oceans. It is impossible to intercept them. It's sourcing the general staff of the, it's not general, it's main staff of the Navy told RIA News, commenting on the publications of the British media about alleged interception of a Russian submarine in the English Channel. So here we are. The media reported that the British fleet intercepted, quote unquote, in the Strait, English Channel diesel electric submarine of the Russian Navy, Krasnodar. The wording intercepted looks, to say the least, ridiculous. Everyone knows the submarines pass the English Channel on the surface, and in accordance with the international maritime law, calling it interception is ridiculous and unqualified. Well, that's British military. It is unqualified. Fact is, I'm beginning to think that all NATO militaries are unqualified. The agency interlocutor said. He clarified that submarine having completed task in Mediterranean Sea returned to its base as planned, and there is no sensation in this. Yeah, the next stage in all this development of the West successes, quote unquote, will be that essentially British media will report on the June 1st that it was British military or British government which finally achieved an incredible success of changing the season from spring to summer. And that will be hailed as an incredible achievement. But this is what those people are. This is how desperate they are. Obviously, you had this bunch of the clowns from Macron to Merz to Starmer visiting Kiev. The coalition of the so-called willing. And we have Mr. Merz. I mean, he is Nazi by genetics. I mean, scratch any CDU guy. I mean, you'll find a German nationalist at best. Well, they're not really nationalists. I don't know how to call those people. I mean, they have a very much attitude towards Russians as the subhumans. And I understand. Many of my wonderful German friends who are decent people, who are people with a Christian root, who will say, we're not all like that. I know you're not all like that. But majority of Germans, and especially in the western part of Germany, they hate Russian gods. And this comes with the law of the human law, if you wish, or the natural law of the nation which have been utterly defeated and demolished by the Red Army. And since then, obviously, Combined West tries to rewrite history. I just introduced to you views of Colonel Douglas MacGregor. Despite his professional qualifications for the modern politics, he absolutely has no idea what he's talking about. And they hate Russian gods. They always did. And so we have Mr. Merz. And guess what? Mr. Merz delivered an ultimatum to Russia. Merz threatens Russia with sanctions in case of refusal of truce. You know, they are obsessed with this 30-day truce, and for some reason they think that that will be enough for them to resupply whatever is left of the armed forces of Ukraine. But then again, look at this guy. He would know the first thing about military, as would most of the Bundeswehr officer, and Bundeswehr is a joke force. It's not even an army. It's pretty much the same as German equivalent of the British Army. It's a bunch of the nincompoops running there with the, as the people say, the cutouts of the machine guns in 2015. And we saw all about the performance of the German equipment, excluding the, as allegedly, as they claim, the best battle tank in the world, which was Leopard of the latest series. It's all junk, expensive junk to sell to whatever for profit. And so he threatens sanctions. Russians say, yeah, bring it on. Russia is under, you will correct me, either 22 or 32,000 sanctions. So, and they're not gonna be lifted. So what Mr. Merz says is this. So he says that German Chancellor Friedrich Merz threatened Russia with sanctions if it abandons the truce. Well, the 3 days which Russians self-imposed on themselves for celebration, and Ukraine already violated it on the many times, let's put it this way. He said this in an interview with Bild, despite the fact that Kiev regime violated all truces and has not yet lifted the ban on negotiations with Moscow. The Chancellor claims that the EU and UK will coordinate their actions with the United States. This will be followed by a large-scale tightening of sanctions. Okay, yeah, what's the news? And Ukraine will continue to be provided with the large-scale assistance, political, financial, as well as military, the Chancellor said. And as in, so to speak, support of his claims, Germans decided to actually classify every military aid they provide to Ukraine, which tells you only one thing. They want to deliver those Taurus missiles, and it's not gonna change anything. I mean, Russians will start shooting them down. They might get some liquor here and there. But I mean, if Germany wants to try this, yeah, sure, let them try it. But Russian general staff is much better mathematically than all NATO combined. They know everything about the ammunition stocks and what is the dynamics of the military industrial production. For Germany, it's pathetic. And so if they want to produce something and deliver to Ukraine, sure, I mean, Russian crews of the ATGMs, as I state many times, or Russian tanks, they have the mortgages to pay. Some of them bought some really nice real estate, including in Moscow, St. Petersburg, and around. Some bought it in Sochi, man. Man, that is a big deal. So they need to have this, you know what, the remnants of the ammunition and equipment stocks from NATO countries to be delivered there, to be killed, destroyed, like this one. And many people still just cannot, you know what, wrap their brains around. And as you can see here, this is Abrams, okay? This is the, you know what, yeah, this is what happens when they try to fight Russian T-72A. Forget about B-3. Or this is your, you know what, sub-caliber thing. And as you can see yourself, this Abrams didn't fare well. It was towed to Russian side. Russians kind of put it together a little bit and rolled it out. This one is not even presented in Moscow. I don't remember. It's in some other Russian city and not the very large one. So it has been rolled out there for the demonstration purposes, and Russians can enjoy observing how Russian good old sub-munitions, you know, sub-caliber munitions from T-72 deal with Abrams, which allegedly was declared the best tank in the world, which it never was. But so, and the but hurt continues. This is again, this is not to say that, as I already stated, all Europeans, for example, they, you know, hate Russia. No, but huge portions of the European societies, they do hate Russians. They just, you know. But let's go back a few years back, and let's give our kudos to this wonderful Dutch farmer. As you can see yourself, he put it on somewhere in Holland along the highway. That's what he rolled out. Russia stopped Hitler, not America. 26 million, in reality 27 million Russians died. Spasiba. Thanks. So there are people who remember, there are many people who follow it, and I know they are not happy. But we're obviously in Russia during the Red Square parade. We had the most important breach in Russian and Soviet history, the biggest CIA penetration of the Russian government. But it was, of course, not what you thought. And obviously it has been discussed already, and our dearest friend, Ray McGovern, he did it. He penetrated Russian government at the highest levels. As Judge Napolitano and everybody already discussed this, if you take a look where Ray was during the parade, look at the company he has around himself. Yeah, he has Prime Minister of Russia Mikhail Mishustin. He has Valentina Matvienko, the chairwoman of the Russia's Federation Council. And you have the, first deputy Russia Security Council chair, or Russia Security Council, and big body of Mr. Putin and former Russian President Dmitry Medvedev. As you can see yourself, Ray enjoys the company, and that tells you something, actually, how Russians treat American people with the honor, with integrity, they just love them, you know. And Ray definitely earned admiration throughout the world for his incredible principles and human and professional integrity. And there you are. He sits next to basically the three most important people in Russia after Vladimir Putin, and there you go. And it was enjoyable to see Ray's reaction, and he totally deserved, and he represented America well, which, of course, yeah, we know the U.S. Army soldiers should have been marching on the Red Square because of being the very important allies. I cannot say that I want to how to say that British were supposed to be there. Yeah, nobody denies the heroism and dedication of British soldiers and seamen and all that. But when you consider what the British government is, yeah, I don't know. So, but Americans certainly should have been there. But you know, we know Mr. Trump. Well, he is not in any mood to do anything which is sensible. But we continue to receive this news all the time. All the time, you have this bunch of the something like NBC. Well, NBC is a propaganda outlet. It has nothing to do with news. But today they say, Trump envoy relied on Kremlin interpreter in meetings with Putin to end war in Ukraine. Using Kremlin's interpreter was a very bad idea that put Witkoff at a real disadvantage. Michael McFaul, a former US ambassador to Russia, told NBC News. Michael McFaul is a certified clown. And he is remembered in Russia like a clown. The guy had no clue what he was doing, and he's not a Russian scholar. He is a typical pseudo-academic garbage from Stanford. But yeah, he for some reason during those times he was appointed U.S. ambassador, and he thought that he knows Russia or anything about politics. He knows nothing. So, and here it is. NBC begins to, you know, provide another contention point, another BS. They need to stay on the story. They need to sell whatever their pathetic news, as the, you know, any news organization needs. Everybody needs, you know, subscribers. Everybody needs to keep the cash flow. And so Mr. McFaul lies. I speak Russian, have listened to Kremlin interpreters. Mr. McFaul barely speaks Russian. It's pathetic. He looks like moron compared to the esteemed Jack Matlock, who could recite, and he did, the whole Yevgeny Onegin, gigantic poem by Alexander Pushkin, and speaks perfect, I mean literally Russian, beautifully. So when McFaul states that he can speak Russian, no, he can't. He's like, you know, the second year student of Russian language. So, and he said that interprets at the same meeting, and the language is never the same, McFaul said. He lies, as he always does. He lies pretty much all his life. And this is what you need to have in the modern American politics and media. You have to have a compulsive liars and war criminals. You have to have the narcissists, as we have now with Mr. Trump. We have to have people who cannot say any fact straight. Having a U.S. interpreter present also ensures a more accurate written account of the meeting for the rest of the government. Well, yeah, I mean, you can always ask for the transcription, and yeah, but as you can see, so this is what they do. They just do create the basically elephant out of the mice, and so, but he continues that NBC continues to develop all kinds of those, how to say it, they're schizophrenic really reactions and schizophrenic ideas, because they know they are butthurt, they know that United States lost this, and so a proposal that Trump should meet with Putin on his trip to Saudi Arabia next week was nixed because there was no movement on Russia's part toward the ceasefire, according to two administration officials and one U.S. official familiar with the planning. Yeah, and although Mr. Ushakov, who is the first aide of President Putin, he says, yeah, we're moving towards the some end and meeting eventually. I don't understand who came up. Well, I actually know where this rumor about Putin meeting Trump at Saudi Arabia originated from, but you know what? They need to meet when there will be something to actually either sign or something which was developed. There is some progress there, but again, as I already stated, there will be no ceasefire. I mean, Russians are not into the ceasefire BS. So, and Now, NBC discloses this another plan. I don't know if you have three terms. How many permutations can you have there? How many combinations you have? I believe it's 3 factorial, right? It's 3 times 2 times 1, which is 6. The same here. Now they've came up a term sheet with 22 proposals, including a 30-day ceasefire. This is Kellogg. Obviously, you can see his ears and the loser American military, which is like, yeah, we need ceasefire. We need to provide them with something. Okay, they may provide something. It wouldn't make any difference whatsoever. But they desperately need 30-day ceasefire. And it has been drawn by American, European, and Ukrainian negotiators. That means what? It's a no-go from the get-go. And one of the Western officials said, adding that it met Putin's demand that U.S. will not support Ukraine joining NATO. No, it's not the only demand. And the U.S. Absolutely is irrelevant here, because it's not that the U.S. will not support. It's the fact that whatever will be left of Ukraine will not join NATO, and it will be neutral, or it will cease to exist. And here there's again grandiose statements by the losers and incompetent nincompoops who say, if Putin wants a way out, here's his way out. Well, Putin doesn't want the way out. Russia can continue to do it as long as it takes. It is United States which desperately needs a way out, and Europe, which is being demilitarized on an accelerated rate. As I already stated, if Mr. Merz wants to fight, why doesn't he send, well, German tanks already have been burned all over Kursk area, so if he wants to try more, why not? Russians will oblige. But they continue to push these idiotic ideas, and obviously, well, Mr. Peskov, as always, being Mr. Peskov, he stated that, yeah, you know what, we may consider it, so, but obviously Russians will consider it and say, nope, there are root causes. And Russians have been on this line, so to speak, of the script non-stop. Root causes. No. It's not that the United States will not support. You cannot trust anybody in the West. They are liars, they are cheaters, they are thieves. So, and I'm sorry for this blanket statement, but that's who they are. They are political prostitutes who want to stay elected, period. But if it doesn't fit or doesn't suit their views, they will violate any kind of treaties, as you already saw yourself with the INF treaty, which, of course, that is the stupidity, technological incompetence of the US military, who thought that they had the edge. Oh boy, they are sorry today. It has also with the ABM treaty, and now United States is lagging behind the 2 generations of the weapons. They wanted to abrogate those treaties. Russia said, okay, we wanted to keep those treaties. And in terms of START 3 and all kinds of those strategic weapons limitations treaties, yeah, the only reason the United States wants to enter this is because to have some kind of the inspection clause to look at what Russians are making. I understand some people will accuse me of the Russian rah-rah, but as well, you know what, I have a pretty damn good track record. If you take a look at what I wrote and stated throughout the years, I warned. They didn't listen, and Russians warned. I mean, on the highest political level. Why do you want to abrogate INF treaty? Okay, you abrogated it, that's fine. We go in and do our thing. You abrogated ABM treaty, Mr. Bush. He believed that because, mission accomplished. They kicked the butt of the, completely demoralized, backward, and essentially uncontrollable whatever was left of the Iraqi military. Wow, what an accomplishment. And guess what? Each time this was happening, they have been faced with a brick wall of the newest technology, new generation of the weapon systems, on which United States is nowhere near. And there are all kinds of the things which are happening. They try to portray that there was some plane. Oh, it flew Mach 5. It flew, like hypersonic. Well, yeah, it's not hypersonic weapon. And it's some kind of the projectile, whatever that is. And, but if they think that they have this weapon, they don't. And so this is what I wanted to tell you today, guys, is a kind of wrap up for the parade and consequences of it. And as always, those who like what I do, please subscribe to my channel. And also can afford, please support me on Patreon or buy me a coffee and too. That will help me to do what I'm doing. So have a nice rest of the weekend, and I'll talk to you later, guys. Bye-bye.